Good evening and welcome to the November 20th meeting of the Board of Selectmen. If you'd all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And welcome and thank you folks that have tuned in to us, and thank you Clint for being in the audience. And we want to first of all wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving this week. Any other announcements, folks?
Just want to mention that the Deputy Chief of the York County Sheriff's Office passed away on the 19th. Relatively young man, was from complications involving cancer. So,
what is his name?
Matt Baker. He was the former chief of Kennebunk, and then when Morris Willett became sheriff, he chose him for the chief deputy's position. So he's been serving York County in that capacity. So,
For a while, then.
for a while. Yeah.
Okay, certainly our condolences go out to the family. Do want to announce that the brand new gates are in fact on the dam. I think we mentioned that through some discussion here last week. There's still some work to be done on the inside of the dam, and I'm not sure whether Knowles has done that this week. I know that they were going to also pour a little concrete down in the foot of the dam. So those of you that have property on the lake and have experienced some maybe water shortages because of shallow points, the lake should be rising to its normal winter height. So. Anything else from the board? Moving right along, our appointment for this evening has been canceled due to evidently a involvement in a traffic incident, I guess is a fair statement, in town here. So we will not see Doug Jr. here tonight. Hearing a delegation. There is no delegation, so and Clint's on the agenda, so we'll go from correspondence, weekly treasurer's financial reports, the 12-town group meeting notice, which was a meeting last night here, board and committee vacancies, and I just would like take the time right now to go through this. It's certainly anyone is. I think this is also posted on the town website, but we are looking for additional members for both the Old Home Days Committee and the Community Garden Committee. There are no limits on either one of those committees, so they'll take anyone that is interested in providing some help. We still have 2 vacancies open in the Fair Hearing Committee, 1 vacancy for Zoning Board of Appeals, 1 Finance Committee vacancy, 1 Planning Board vacancy, which is an alternate member, 4 vacancies off the Park and Rec Commission Committee, 1 vacancy for the Conservation Commission, 1 transfer station, and we do have a candidate for that this evening, and then 4 vacancies off from the hiring panel. And as we've discussed on a number of occasions, we're trying to re-establish and re-establish 2 committees, the Economic Development Committee and the Public Safety Committee. So we need a minimum of 5 to 7 candidates for each one of those committees. Moving along, assessing agents, September 2012 sales report. This just gives a quick overview of the sales within the town of Waterboro for real estate for the month of September, and I believe Jerry will be providing that to us on a monthly basis. The OTT Communications communication to us, toll service provider change, pretty lengthy telecommunications note, so I'm not gonna try to explain what that means, so, but if you're interested, please, ask, or give a call to the town office, and Christina can get a copy for you. And we also have, a note from RHR Smith, who is our certified public accountant and audit firm. And they are, there's a letter there from them and the legal community, if you will. All right, reports and staff initiatives. Waiting with much anticipation. The transfer station manager.
Where's everybody else?
Step up.
Okay. As you know, seems like a long time ago, but October 22nd, I went to Orono, the MMRA, their fall convention, and they had a lot of topics. The big topic this year was in-vessel composting. You probably heard that. I've talked about it before. It's a look. They were looking into the future, and they had representatives from companies, and they had one machine that they were trying to sell, and it does 2,500 pounds a week. It reduces everything down to 90% from the 100%, down to 10%. And it produces a quality product that can be sold into any market. You know, it's ready to bag as it comes out. The only problem with it, it's an $80,000 unit. But everybody that was there, the DEP kept saying, everybody should listen to this. Because of July 2014, the state of Massachusetts has banned all household waste going into their waste stream. It'll have to be taken out and go to one of these facilities. So how long, you know, Ecomaine had a representative there, a Waterboro resident too, Mark Tato, you know him, Dennis?
I've talked to him.
Well, he was there, and that was his job, was to get all the information he could, because I kind of had a feeling from what he said that they may be just going into this head over heels here soon, trying to get the other towns like us to bring our garbage there and have it processed. I don't know how they're going to do it, but it's going to be a problem. Then they had the Sandy River recycling facility, which is a multi-town facility up there. It's a recycling facility. They told how they do all their recycling of household waste. They go to the hospital, the schools, the college, and they collect all this in a truck, and then they put it in their pile, compost pile in the back, and they just keep churning it. And the state is doing this as a test, so it's a cheap way of doing it. They tried to tell us that we could do up to 10 yards a month at our facility if we wanted. They issued everybody's license that we can actually do that if we wanted to. The DEP, of course, they were there. They were telling it the state planning office for waste is actually down, so they've taken 4 people and put them in the DEP, and the rest are pretty much gone right now. Merck was there. They gave a presentation. You probably heard it all on television, but they told us that it wasn't going to happen as quick as Merck thinks or Benefit thinks, because Juniper Ridge is licensed only for out-of-state trash. And they've got to have hearings, and they've got to go through the whole process and have the legislature revoke this to allow Maine trash to go in there. They said their new facility will be up and running January 1st, and they would be taking 50 to 60 tons an hour, capable of doing that.
This is Merck that will be able to do that?
Merck, yes, Casella.
No, Casella.
They're building a plant in Westbrook, and it's supposedly an enormous facility. I haven't seen it.
1,000 tons a day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Of household waste.
Yeah. And my understanding of what
It'll sort it.
but they're going to do it right on the floor, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know how.
With machines and people just pushing it around, and then I guess the people that actually haul in there will actually, it'll be going down to Massachusetts, New Hampshire. They talked a lot about wood waste, because they're having a lot of problems in the state of Maine about what to do with it, you know, all that demolition wood that we grind up. You notice last year it stayed down there. That's because there was no place to actually take it other than Sappy, and they just jammed with it because they were the only facility taking it at the time. But Boralex has just sold out to Re-Energy, and they're up in the Carabasset Valley, and our wood has gone up there. And they're going to start taking it, so that should relax it. But they did tell us that Sappy is, new policy is, the people they have dealt with in the past, they will continue to deal with. And they're really not wanting to take on anybody else right now. So we're pretty lucky. The plastic market, which is dropping, said drastically, and this would affect even down to Ecomaine and down to us, because we've got to be very cautious what we send there and what they actually package up to send overseas. Because I guess what the Chinese are doing when it gets there, they're taking the trash. If they find something wrong with a bale, they'll say, it's yours. You know, we'll give you $5 for it or something like that, or you can take it back. When it's over there, it's pretty hard to do. And I gave you the comparisons there, Dennis. Everybody wants to look at it. That's our recycling rate for the past 4 months, for the past 3 years, you know, compared to the cross. And it is dropping quite a bit. And I think we found out tonight one of the reasons why is.
Yeah, the discussion, I think it's fair to have that discussion, because I think there was a reaction here last week that we talked about how the recycling rate was going down. And I think what we've now determined, based on Missy and Clint's investigation here, is we send a fair amount of bulky waste into Ecomaine now at Kevin's request, right? And that's the compactor that we're now using for furniture and those kind of things, because he wanted that waste stream. They're counting that as our household waste. So you got 30 some odd tons in the last 3, 4 months, well, since the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
33 tons, almost 32 and a half tons that has now been added to our household waste.
Is this a mistake?
Well, I'm not sure that she's agreed that it's a mistake, other than it's just how they're doing it, but somehow they gotta pull that out of those numbers, so that's a
There's a
discussion.
difference in cost, I would think, isn't there?
Well, it's we only pay spot market price for the bulky waste, because that's really what Kevin's trying to prevent, is when he doesn't have enough waste to generate power, he has to go on the market and entice that waste to come in.
Yeah.
Often the spot market, either with a price break, and in some instances they've actually bought waste. I mean, years ago. I don't think they do that anymore. So in order to minimize how many people, how much spot waste he brings in, he's offered to municipalities, give me a bulky waste that I can burn, right, in the incinerator, and he would take care of that. He gives us the same price. It's like $49 a ton right now versus 88. But the numbers are going into our household waste numbers.
How are they billing it?
They're billing it as bulky waste,
Yeah.
right? But from a reporting standpoint, it's affecting,
Yeah.
because Clint thinks it could be as many as 5 points on the percentage.
You know, some of these months we've said it's below 20, it should be up 24, 25.
So we'll go
We
through
take
and
that out.
make that correction, even if it's from our perspective,
I think what she told me was we can figure it the way we want to, but that's the way they're doing it right now.
that's a discussion I guess we'll
Yeah.
have to have with Kevin.
And then down at our facility, I've got all the winter maintenance done, all the machine, changed all the oil, hydraulics. We've been doing that ourselves in-house, and everything, all the heaters are on, everything seems to be running pretty well. We've taken receipt of 2 40-yard enclosed containers, new ones. Nice looking, really nice. They're just a little different than the other ones. I asked Dean if he had any problems with it. He said not a bit. They left 2 wheels off on the front. They have actually 2 smaller ones, which he needs to pick them up with. And these things here are like on skids. And he said that's the way most all the new ones are coming. So he was happy with it. So we're all set so far.
So with these 2 cams purchased with 2012 capital funds or 2013 capital funds?
2012.
So we audited them, but they didn't come in?
Well, the funds that came available on July 1st.
Okay, so it's 2013.
Yeah, well, 12, 13.
Okay. I didn't know, but I know last year we audited some, right?
We did 2 open containers last year.
Okay, so that answered the question, the open containers versus, so.
So everybody seems to be very happy we got it. Now we can, put one aside, and Lucas is gonna start doing some welding and get them all fixed up and back so we can use them.
Good.
Okay?
Anything else? Questions of Clint?
An idea. When we're looking at recycling, I just want to be a fairly simple study to do. And that is noting everybody that comes to the transfer station that drops off trash, how many of them go on, how many of them drive out, how many of them go on to drop off single stream recycling. Most of the people I see when I go, it seems like most of the people that drop off trash go to the recycling. Most of, meaning it looks like the vast majority. I'm wondering there if what percentage of people that go to the transfer station that don't go to recycling, and then maybe a little token to ask people, not everybody, but ask particular people and say, look, give you a cup of coffee or something like that, if you allow me to look through your trash. So, and what I'm looking for is to see if there's any recyclables in there. And then noting down what recyclables that are in there for that sampling that you take. So then we got an idea if where to put the effort in recycling. Is the effort to get more people to recycle, or is the effort to get those people are recycling but they're not recycling the right enough stuff? So, I mean, that would be a fairly simple thing to do, and it wouldn't get people terribly angry. Just ask them, would you mind if I did this? And if you do, I'll give you a cup of coffee or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, just a thought.
Now, we did last year, Ecomaine did a study for us. They took like one of our containers, dumped it on the floor. Dennis, what was it, 50 to 60%, I think is what it came out. Could be recycled out of that load that they checked for us. They did it for all the towns, I guess. They just said, hey, this is what you're losing.
But, one of the things that look for individuals, because some people might put no recyclables in the recycling, throw them all into trash, and that contaminates everybody. But you might find 6 out of 7 people, or 8, 9 out of 10 people recycle, but they're only recycling 20% of the 50% of the stuff that they can. And then they just need, those people are willing, they're there when they're willing, now all they need to be is educated. And then the people that haven't recycled, they're the unwilling people, those are the hardest people to probably get at. But the people that are doing it, going through it, but don't know that they can do this, this, and this, they're very easy. All I need to do is know which.
All set?
You going to this waste reduction roundtable thing next Wednesday? Who's this company, Waste Zero? They keep sending us these things. This is the thing down in Wells.
I don't know. I really don't.
It says
I keep getting all kinds of stuff on the computer from them.
they're the nation's leading provider of proven and practical waste reduction programs. And Guy Bushy, South Borough Transfer Station Manager, and Terry Oliver, the Wells DP DPW director speaking at this. Okay. I didn't know, I mean, it kind of, I mean, I get, because we
I
get
thought they
all
were a
kinds of
company that was coming, that wants to come in and take over your recyclable, you know, all your bottles out and all this stuff.
I don't know.
But maybe not. Maybe I didn't.
Would that be something that you would be interested in going to, Clint?
Yeah.
Did you got this thing?
No, I didn't get that one.
Yeah,
There was something that Kevin Roach sent out
no, this
last
was,
week.
this is waste reduction roundtable lunch invitation. I went to transfer station at waterboromaine.gov.
Lunch, wanna go?
I'm not gonna go, but you can go. And then it came to me.
Well, you go, we'll give you a cup of coffee.
It would appear to me that they've got a connection into Ecomaine or somewhere. I'm not sure how they get, or they found who the representatives are and transfer station managers are and all these things. But anyway, want me to resend this to you, or do you have it?
I don't have that, I really don't.
I'll send it to you.
To follow up on John's suggestion, first of all, John, it's never gonna get done unless you do it.
Okay,
Secondly,
the challenge is there.
I think you'd find a lot of resistance unless you went and talked to people who are recycling seriously. And I think they would find that they're not recycling seriously. But they would be more receptive of you looking at their household waste than would somebody who's not recycling.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
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 So I guess the question is, you may be asked two questions. One, are you recycling today? And if they say yes, do you mind if I look at your trash to see if there's anything in there that you could recycle? And if they say yes, thank you very much, here's a Snickers bar.
Well, it's not a bad idea, really, it probably would work.
Yeah, but
Will contribute to the diabetes epidemic.
All right.
What about putting on a clinic of, because I think there is some confusion about what can be recycled and what can't be. I really think that some people, at least in their own mind, are trying to make an honest effort to recycle, but they don't have the skill set to know which things
Particularly.
may be recyclable and you know, there's obvious things like cardboard boxes and things like that.
Didn't we, when
yes.
Bridget did a video from the transfer station and all that, wasn't there a section of that was all, these are the typical things?
We did a section, I think,
Yes.
when preparing for the paper bag. And Missy came in,
Yeah.
right here, and it was filmed. I don't know if it's still in our files or not, but that must have been 5, 6.
There's a table on the website too.
5 or 6 years ago.
Made a table.
But I think, but to Gordon's point, though, I think that people watching a video or seeing something would say, I didn't know that. Or, you know, I throw those, you know, I mean, how many people throw styrofoam in there? In the single stream that really isn't supposed to be in a single stream too, you know,
That's right.
so, I mean, there's some level of, you know, I mean, maybe we ought to refresh that video.
Should. Oh, and one more thing too. With the holidays are coming up, people can recycle a lot then, you know.
Yep.
Especially the Christmas paper, we'll take it all.
Okay, thanks, Clint.
Okay.
Ecomaine, I'm not sure that I can tell you anything that I haven't already told you in a selectmen's report. You know, the rate's gone down as we get into this year's budget. We've dropped another $25,000 in our assessment. You know, it's, right now, this is the once a month kind of meeting at Ecomaine, so there's audits done in there, everything is done. There was a tour last week of the material, the metals mining and the new, they've added a new section to the landfill, or the ashfill.
Are they still mining?
Yeah.
They are.
I guess they're getting, I mean, it's a foul looking ash that comes out of there, but they're getting, somehow there's a way that they process that out, so. I mean, it's pretty black when it comes out. Okay, road commissioner's not here, selectmen's reports. David? Anything?
I can make the dinner on December 14th, is it?
Well, December 14th, November 14th already went.
December 14th, did I say November?
Well, you would have been having dinner with Gordon last week. John?
In regards to the dinner on the 14th, anybody, Tammy Jo, did you do dessert last year?
Yeah.
Are you interested in doing that again, or someone else, or?
Yeah, I don't mind.
Okay, I don't know if, again, it may be presumptuous of me. I've come up with a menu which is the same as last year: meatballs and spaghetti and a primavera sauce and garlic bread and salad. So is everybody in agreement with that?
Well, we
Okay.
need to do something with the garlic this year, because I think last year there was a mistake in, it wasn't garlic butter that was obtained, it was garlic salt, and it made it,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Okay. What I can do is, I'll get crushed garlic and actually do it in the butter beforehand. So. Okay. You got some people that got some serious shots of garlic, huh?
A lot of salt.
Oh, the salt. Okay. Clint gave me a magazine to look at, and I meant to bring it in here, but I didn't come from my home. I came from the accident. That it was structures that I was kind of talking about that Portland has, and this could be a salt and sand structure. It's used for barns. It's used for hay storage. It's used for salt and sand, and it's kind of a rod structure with fabric, and you can have ends on it and doors, and door on one side and an end, or you can have it open-ended. There's a structure in this magazine that was 49 feet wide, 95 feet long, 17 and a half feet high, for $38,000. So what you need to do is you'd need to, if we don't want the salt to leach into the soil, so you need to put down a concrete pad and then build up sides yay high or with big concrete blocks, and then put this structure on the top of it. Now you're talking about a structure that's probably more like $75,000, $80,000 rather than $500,000. So that's something to. I meant to bring in that magazine and pass it around. I'll do that. And I thank you, Clint, for picking up on that. But it looks like it's something that would keep the salt dry, and could be done for a lot less than what we by building the whole building.
Anything else, John?
That's it.
David?
A couple things. Had our first meeting on the York County Budget Committee meet last Wednesday. We were presented with the budget from the Commissioner's office. The county manager presented it to us. I've got some figures in a little PowerPoint that I'll show you when we talk about the tax payment options. But basically, it's a somewhat flat budget. It's actually down a little bit, which is kind of deceiving because it's been recognized that the jail tax cap charged to York County was charged in error, and so $288,000 has come off what we're obligated to pay for the jail cap. So the commissioners absorbed that $288,000 into the budget by putting in some additional positions, position for the district attorney's office, part-time position there, adding another part-time position, IT, to their IT department, adding a human resource director and a facilities manager. So we'll start scrubbing through that budget. We're not meeting this week because it's Thanksgiving, but next week we're going to be looking at the commissioners. We're looking at the commissioner's budget, county administration, courthouse maintenance, and the treasurer's budgets. So that's where we're starting off with that. Last night we had the 12-town group meeting. Couple of things that we talked about there. Call sharing, there's going to be a new call sharing agreement between the York County Sheriff's Department and the state police, where as of January 1st, state police are going to cover Dayton, Lyman, Hollis, Lebanon, and Alfred. Right now it's where they shift every 3 or 6 months and they cover a different zone. They're finding there's a lot of inconsistencies doing that, so the state police are just going to take over those 5 towns, and the sheriff's department will be back up if they need it. But in those communities, January 1, when they call for an emergency, they're going to be having a response by the state police. The Legislative Policy Committee has been meeting. They had a list of a number of initiatives that they were going to be looking at supporting, and one of the items that stayed on their agenda is the road bill, the road turnover. When it came to discussion about that, there was a lot of discussion, and a lot of communities have had the same exact problems that Waterboro has had, so there's a great deal of support for that initiative. So the Legislative Policy Committee is going to keep that going and move forward with that. The other thing that we talked about was, last week Nancy brought it up to us that there's a move afoot to have the non-COP towns start paying all the bill for the sheriff's department for the patrol units. Barry Tibbetts was the driving force behind that. We discussed that last night. We have a new spreadsheet that was put out, and if something like this was to pass, the hit to Waterboro would be $426,948. So this is definitely something that we really need to have our thumb in. What I brought up was, if we're going to start saying, well, you know, this community utilizes this service, then you've got to look at how county works as a whole, because maybe we're utilizing, you know, the lion's share of the sheriff responses. But if they look at who's going into the jails, look at who's eating up the district attorney's time, I think that they're going to find that there's somewhat of a wash here. But Kennebunk, who's really pushing for this, they'd be saving $341,000 annually. So for them, it's a good deal. For us, we're the community that gets hit the hardest by it. So maybe
it's population based.
It's population based, and that's not only the sheriff's department but the dispatch as well. So we'd be incurring the cost of rural patrol and dispatch. So I think, you know, maybe next week this is something we could have as an agenda item, talk about it a little more in depth, and I think that it would behoove us to, right from the get-go, send a response to Barry Tibbetts and all of the managers and whatnot that are on this mailing list. I mean, that's just the kind of hit we can't absorb.
I would think there'd be a number of small towns like Waterboro that's going to get hit. So
Yeah.
Well, the key here is that in one breath they want us, it's to pay as you go, right? If you use the service, you know, the users pay for all the services, right? If you don't use it, I'm not going to pay it. If you're going to do that, then you got to incrementally break down all the county government services and do the same thing with it. This isn't, you know, I don't think it's a give and take. So there's a little bit of a smoke screen here being developed by the county, the individual. I don't know what is it a town managers
Yes.
association or whatever? But that group is saying, well, you know, we could cut our costs by a significant amount. They're either part of the county or they're not. And if you want to do it the other way, then let's put the numbers down for the jail. We don't, you know, what do we use for resources out of the jail?
Yeah, and that was one of, when he originally put out his spreadsheet, there was a request back to him to say, look at the jail. And he's saying that it's almost impossible to look at the jail because there's too many variables. Oh, it's a resident who lives in Biddeford but committed a crime in Wells and was arrested in Saco. So who do you charge that to?
In his humble opinion.
Yeah.
Right.
Now, one of the things that John Sylvester brought up is if you look at the statute that applies to the appropriation of county taxes, it talks about fair share. It doesn't talk about a user-based fee or splitting it up. So John's thought is, and we would probably need to get a legal opinion on this, is that in order for this to happen, there would have to be some changes in the state law. So,
I'm wondering, if you look at police services, we have our own deputy. So would the services, is that a double jeopardy that we our own deputy takes away from some of the services that the backup services that we get from the county?
I don't think that there was that much consideration put into it. I think all they did was they took, here's what it costs for rural patrol, here's what it costs for dispatch, here are the communities that are using the rural patrol, here's their population, and they split it up.
Yeah, and the thing is we have our own deputy that because of that, we're paying for those services, and the county doesn't need to provide them because we're already paying for them from our own deputy.
But even if you were to go down that road of user base, you don't base it on population. You base it on the value of the municipalities. Our taxes are based off from.
Oh, that is based on
Valuation.
valuation, Dennis. He's got, I think, it in.
You mean to tell me we're one of the richest communities,
Yep.
rural communities, and the
And our community is more law-abiding than other communities, so.
Yeah, so.
so it's not
That funding
population.
formula, we'd be better off going to our own full-time agency, like Buxton does.
And the other thing,
Was
he's
Buck
not.
in here last time?
No, there was only a half dozen of us
I'm
last
just
night.
curious as to what their
There
reaction.
was a meeting last night having to do with Casella Waste, so I think a lot of folks were attending that meeting, so we didn't have a very good turnout, but.
I bet what you'll find will happen too is municipalities are gonna say, only arrest, they're gonna try everything that they can to reduce the number of arrests physical arrests that they make so that they don't have to incarcerate people. They'll just have a list of ones that are basically mandatory.
But by the sounds of it, there's some state laws and everything else that are gonna have to be changed, I think, before they get to that.
Now, how is that gonna work, Tammy, with the state police doing certain towns and sheriffs doing certain towns? Who's paying the state police? County?
No, it's part of our state money that we're paying the states as taxpayers. Our state income tax is paying to fund the state police, so.
And how are these commissioners, they're elected, do we elect them?
Mhm.
How many, 2 or 3 years, or how's that go?
3 years.
3 years?
3 years, I think.
I would think we need to really look at the next election and start drilling these guys and also notifying the general public of, hey, we're taking a ride.
This proposal is not something that's coming out of the county commissioner's office.
No?
This is coming from the Kennebunk Town Manager
The-
and a Town Managers Association.
No, but
Not-
there's certainly, the commissioners took that $284,000 out of the jail fund.
Yes.
They could have saved money and just spent it on You know, oh, we got an extra $300,000 here, let's spend it.
Anything else, Steve?
That's it.
Gordon?
Were you gonna project something up there?
Yeah, we've got it on the agenda.
Oh, okay. No, I don't have anything right now, Mr. Chairman.
The only thing that I get to report is that we do have a little bit of update on town planner, Mr. Ursa. He is home. They have not fixed his leg yet. It's either needs to be operated on or reset. They won't know that until Friday. I guess there's some additional swelling, so he is home. He's on some, needless to say, heavy medication and is in a temporary cast or whatever the case may be. So, but a bigger concern is that what drove him to that, you know. And so, anyway, if anybody gets a chance and wants to make a call to him or whatnot, I think feel free. He is home. So, okay. All right, let's move into new business, and we'll get right back into the county issues. This being the county tax payments for the change in the county's fiscal year.
So, as you know, York County Commissioners have decided to transition from a calendar year budget to a fiscal year budget. Go ahead and hit the next slide, David. So why are they doing this? First of all, the county government is running on a January to December budget. The jail is currently running on a fiscal year budget of July 1 to June 30th, and that's by a state mandate. So within the county, you have departments that are running on different budget cycles. What that is meaning to the county is that every year they're having to do 2 audits. They're having to do the audit for the jail. They're having to do the audit for county government. One audit starts just as the other one begins. It's a constant cycle that they're in, and they're paying for 2 audits as well as the staff time that's going into that. Transitioning the county government over to a fiscal year, July to June 30 budget, will allow them to only have to do 1 audit per year. It puts everybody on the same budget cycle. Another problem that they're having with the January to December calendar is that by state statute, the county cannot collect taxes from municipalities until September 1st. So with their budget starting January 1, they're 9 months into their budget cycle before they're collecting any taxes from the municipalities, which means they're having to borrow TAN money to pay the bills from January to September. Of course, when they borrow those TANs, they're paying interest on the tax money. So by going to a fiscal year budget will start in July. They'll be able to start collecting taxes September 1st. They're only looking at a couple of months without that municipal income before the taxes start coming in. So they're seeing that there would be less TANs interest.
If I may interrupt you for a minute. For those that are listening to us, could you explain just what TANs is? So
TANs are tax anticipated notes. The county government is expecting that they're going to receive X number of dollars in tax money from the municipalities, so they're borrowing that money ahead. They're taking out a loan on the money that they're expecting to collect for taxes.
Which we did for years in this municipality until we changed to a fiscal year.
By going to a fiscal year, right off the bat, they're anticipating that they can save $15,000 to $20,000 a year in audit cost and in TAN interest. So how is the transition going to be made? There is state law that dictates how they are able to make the transition from a calendar year to a fiscal year. Basically, this law allows county to create an 18-month budget and to collect taxes twice in one fiscal year. So what the commissioners have decided they're going to do is they're going to adopt a 6-month interim budget that's going to cover the time period of January 1 to June 30th, 2013. And then starting July 1, they'll start a new fiscal year, and that will cover fiscal year 2014, and then they'll be on the fiscal year cycle from that paying out. So there is going to be a financial impact to municipalities with them transitioning to a fiscal year budget. Some municipalities are seeing a hit of up to $800,000. What the commissioners had told us is that they would submit a bare bones 6-month budget, and that would carry us until the next fiscal year. So next year, in 2013, we're actually going to have to make 2 tax payments. So right now, if we stayed on the same rotation that we're on, we make our payment, we get our bill, and we typically make our payment in October, but September is when it's due, and that's what we have paid over the past few years.
This is, that 388 is per year, Tammy?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Going to the transition, what's going to happen is we had those years we paid. We're going to have to, on September, and this is where it gets really hinky, on September 2013, our payment will be due for fiscal year 14, which is going to cover July 1 through next June 30th. Then, in December of 2013, we have to pay our 6-month interim budget, which is going to be roughly $193,500.
Which was already a year old.
So we're going to we'll be 6 months out of the budget that was expended before that tax payment is due. And just to see what the county's proposed budgets are, last year was roughly $18 million. For the interim budget, it's $9.1 million. The proposed budget for 2014 is $18 million, with a variance between the FY 2014 and 2012 of $111,901. Again, part of that reduction is based on the jail cap. That's $288,000 that came out. So we have a couple of different payment options to make that payment in December of 2013. We can opt to pay the full 6-month tax commitment by the end of 2013.
Which will be in our FY14 budget.
Yep. We can opt to take the 5-year payment plan, and every year we would make a payment on that $193,000. We can stretch it out as long as 5 years, but if we only wanted to do a 2-year plan, a 3-year plan, we could do that. If we opt to do a payment plan option, county is going to take out TANs to make their payments to do their budget. So it's going to be a variable interest rate to the municipalities. Whatever they're paying for TAN interest, whatever cost the county incurs, by us not paying up front, that cost is going to get passed on to the municipalities. So those are the 2 options that we have for payments. We need to let the county know by February 15th, 2013, what payment option we're going to go with. So we either play it all up front, or we stretch it out over up to 5 years. Now, one of the budget committee members asked, if the budget committee is not in favor of moving to a fiscal year, could we alter the budget enough to prevent them from doing a fiscal year changeover? And according to the county commissioners, the state law is very clear that they are within their authority to transition to a fiscal year. The municipalities do not have any say in it. The budget committees do not have any say in it. It's a done deal. They are doing this. There's no option of doing it any other way. They are exercising their rights as the county commissioners to transition. This is how they're doing it. They understand that this is going to be a hit to municipalities. They say that they respect that. That's why they've tried to come up with a couple of different payment plans, giving us a couple of different options, and giving us, you know, a 14-month notice on when that 6-month interim budget is gonna be due, so that we have time to plan accordingly.
Now, the county commissioners have come up with different statements before that did not prove to be factual. Is there any doubt that they have or do not have the authority to do this?
We haven't gotten a legal opinion on that, and I don't know if how the committee feels about doing that. If you look at it in the totality, I think that moving to a fiscal year is the smart thing to do, because over time you are going to be saving money in your TANs, in your audits, in your staff time. It puts them more in line with most municipalities' budget cycles. So I don't want this to become kind of a tit-for-tat sort of thing where the budget committee digs their feet in and says, no, we're not going to let you do this, and the commissioners say, you know, we're going to do it.
The budget committee would be crazy to fight this, right? You know, ultimately, it's all in our best interest. They should have done this years ago.
Yep.
They were, whatever, decided to not step forward with this, but this is something that should have been done a long time ago. And for us to just, or for a budget committee, as representatives of the municipalities, to say, let's delay this. All you're going to do is delay the inevitable. Eventually, this is going to happen.
You know, we talked about, are there other options where instead of the county committing taxes once a year, they commit it twice a year? Then you could pay every 6 months, and you wouldn't have this extra 6-month cycle in there. But the state statute is that they can only commit the taxes once a year. You'd actually have to have a law change in order to go to a twice-a-year commitment. And Greg, the county manager, said that the commissioners would fight that change, because you'd always be paying 6 months backwards, and you would have payments due across multiple fiscal years. So he said it would be a nightmare to try and track. It would be very time consuming for the staff, and there would be additional expense in it. So I think, you know, we're kind of at a point where it is what it is. You got to suck it up and bite the bullet and do it. There's going to be a cost to do it, and for us, it boils down to how we're going to pay for it.
So as we go into the budgeting, we should take the worst case scenario and plug that into our budget, which is $198,000 additional, right? And then as we go forward with the budgeting, then we make a decision if we make it, you know, basically if it's 5 years, it's $40,000 a year.
I was just thinking the same. I was thinking they need to know by February, right? By that time, we're going to have an idea of what our budget looks like, and if our budget is looking reasonable, then might want to pay it up front. If its budget's we're really concerned about it, then we're going to want to do it in a schedule.
Yeah, the law is pretty specific, and that's the law is what's calling out that by February 2000, by February 15th of the transition year, the municipal office of each municipality must notify the county clerk in writing of the manner in which the municipality intends to pay its portion of the transitional budget.
And I know one thing that was really confusing, and I pointed it out, was that in some of the letters that we got from Greg, it didn't specify the year that payment was due, right, that December payment. So I think we got to a point where we were concerned that it was due this December. It's not. It's due in December 13, and we were not the only town that was confused about when that payment was due.
This letter that he sent to us on October 30th just says that transitional budgets are due by December 31st.
Yep. So you would assume it's this year. Yeah.
I think the commissioners, in their wisdom, ate the transitional notes for one more year rather than
To
hit us with it.
To me, I mean, I think we did a 6-month and a 1 year back when we changed it. We could go look at that, but this isn't gonna affect a municipality one way or the other. There's an additional 6 months of budget baked into this process, right? Whether it's an 18-month fiscal year or a 6-month and a 12-month, right?
Well, at least under this revised explanation, I guess, we're not caught in the middle of a budget cycle where we have to come up with money that we have not appropriated. That at least we're forewarned so that we can.
Well,
appropriate it.
in the first letter that they sent out, said exactly this, right? What was confusing was, you mean they're gonna borrow money starting January 1st, 2013 to cover a 6-month budget for 2000 through June 30th, but they're not even gonna come to the municipalities to pay for that until January 31st of, 6 months after that year is done, a year after it began, right? So they're holding those tax anticipators notes for
For a year.
basically, because they have to get that money before January 1st. The year starts, so they don't have any money, right? So they're borrowing it in December of this
Next
calendar
month.
year, right? To pay for that fiscal year and then not collect the money until next December.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't see where we necessarily have to take their payment option plan at all. We could, if we wanted to, we could float a bond issue on that.
well,
And then we wouldn't be subject to the variable, the variable interest rate, because we could get a fixed rate, and it wouldn't be based on, how the TANs are.
But with that being
fluctuate.
said, though, Gordon, we would abide by that payment plan. We'd pay them 100% up front.
We'd pay them 100% up front, but we'd negotiate the way we did that,
Right.
Yep.
so that we wouldn't be stuck in that variable interest.
And they're not gonna care if we take out a bond. They just
No.
wanna know, are you paying us in full or are you doing a payment plan
Yeah.
with us? And
We
if
can
you're doing a
borrow it
payment
out of our
plan-
surplus and pay ourselves back over 5 years.
Yeah.
So then you're not paying anything.
I'm just curious as to how long a period are they gonna take out those TANs for? Because it could be as much as a 5-year period. If every municipality says, we're gonna extend this for 5 years, right?
Yeah,
That TAN is not gonna be due until 2018.
but they're going to pass that interest off to the
Oh,
municipality.
absolutely, yeah.
Not all the municipalities,
You're gonna
just
get-
the ones that are,
Well,
Not
you're
have
gonna
not
get,
paid.
you're gonna get the interest anyway, or part of that
Yeah.
interest in the budget process, right? Because that's gonna be baked into the budget process. Above and beyond that is whoever wants to quote-unquote finance their payments, they're gonna pay an interest fee.
I mean, we have it in the undesignated surplus, and what we can do is we can pay it out of that even, and then take the $40,000 a year and pay the surplus back. In 5 years, it's all paid back. And we don't pay any interest.
Right,
We finance it ourselves.
financing yourself.
some of the things that they've added in. Now, when they originally started talking about this, they were supposed to give us a bare bones budget for that 6-month period. But what they've added into this budget is part-time clerk receptionist to full-time at the administrator's office. Add a second part-time tech or increase the current part-time to a full-time position. Fund the Darcy project in contracted services and legal expenses, and I'm not sure what that project is, so I could ask about that. New position of part-time legal secretary for the district attorney's office.
Yeah, so why would they, I would, in this current state fiscal year, but this state budget, does that reflect the reduction that the county has to pay for the jail?
Yes.
So that's already cooked into the book, right?
So this
So,
6-month budget, we should be seeing $144,000
right,
reduction.
but what they're saying is, we're gonna give you a bare bones budget, however, that reduction from the state on the jail payment, we're gonna spend.
Yep.
Okay, so in essence, we're gonna increase county government spending unassociated with the jail, right? Net at zero, okay, but the opportunity to reduce the county budget by $140,000 is a pipe dream. They're not gonna do that.
Right. Unless the budget committee decides to take it out of the budget, and then they have to live with the budget that the budget committee puts forward.
And the unfortunate thing, I think, in trying to present an argument that they shouldn't use that money that they're getting from the savings on the jail to fund the positions is that, unfortunately, those positions are so sorely needed. I mean, the DA's office is so understaffed that it's pathetic, and the IT function, you know, they've got to have 2 people because, I mean, they're responsible for the computers for the whole county. And that includes the sheriff's office, you know, the corrections, the jail facility, all your municipal deeds, everything. And they're just swamped. I mean, you know, the way it is right now, it's kind of like they're shoveling sand against the tide. So,
What goes without saying is that, like everybody else, they cut. And it's unfortunate because I think, you know, there was some stimulus money in some positions, be it county or state government. Those are all not there anymore, so the county or state government has to pick it up, or those jobs are gonna go
yeah,
away.
they laid so many people off the last time, they find themselves in a hole now because of it. They can't, you know, get the job done.
Okay, well, thank you, Tammy Jo, for putting that together.
Where in the mix on this, if I may interrupt you for a minute,
Yep.
Dennis, where in the mix on this is this $400,000 bill that they want to impact them, like Waterboro with, on the law enforcement function?
That's not, it doesn't have anything to do with this, as she said.
No,
That-
but I mean, in this mix of where we're making the payments, we gotta come up with 193. When do they plan on implementing this other thing so that we've gotta come up with 400,000 as well?
I mean, that's just in its
I mean, that,
That's a
infancy
proposal
stages.
by,
It's a proposal.
right, that's a proposal by a or city manager to his associates, I guess you'd say, or his counterparts in the other municipalities
well, I
within.
suppose it's good for him if he can get it through for Kennybunk.
Right, but I think Tammy Jo is right, there's some state laws that have to be
Oh, yeah.
changed and everything else, so that's probably a ways away, and I think, I just see that, and I'm not sure where those guys are coming from. That to me is a non-starter. I don't know how you sell that in this day and age. Okay,
Well, I don't
we're
either.
now gonna go based on usage, right? I don't know, I mean, everybody'd like to do that, right? I'll pay my taxes only on those services that I use.
Yeah,
I don't go to the dump, right?
I don't have town water,
Right, I don't,
you know,
so,
so I'm not gonna
I
pay
have to
that. I don't
plow
have
my
my
own
kids in school,
Yeah.
right.
so I'm not gonna pay that.
So
So that's why-
that's that same argument. I
Yeah.
mean,
So that's why I would like to see us have a conversation about it next week, draft some kind of a letter, and if he's gonna be having these conversations and putting these spreadsheets and whatnot together, then he should be inviting everybody in York County to be part of those discussions, and not just this group of 12 city administrators
is
that are in this
Nancy, is
group.
Nancy not a part of that group?
I don't know. Nancy had gotten a hold of it, but I think because it came out on an email or whatnot.
Yeah, but I think they're all invited to a town manager's.
Nope,
No?
it is a group, because John was talking about that and said that a lot of small municipalities are not part of that group, and so they're not at the table when they're having
Right,
these
they're not
discussions.
part of that group because they don't have a town manager or a town administrator of that, but I thought Nancy occasionally attended those sessions.
Well, she'd better be attending all of them now.
I guess so.
So it looks like we have a manager group and a 12-town group over here that
It's
aren't
somewhat
functioning
intertwined.
together.
Are we still 12?
12,
Does
yeah.
Sanford come at all anymore? Since John?
Yes, they have.
this
They've actually been here. I think this was the first month they haven't been here in a while. And there's no 12 town next in December.
Did that pass with their city now? Or is
Yes.
was that in the election?
No,
or
it
is that-
City.
it passed.
Yeah.
So it's part of their charter.
All right. So we'll continue this discussion with regard to county services as proposed by a certain group of town managers next week. Moving on, item 2, discuss vote on a committee appointment. The committee requested before you for a transfer station position.
Make a motion to appoint Dwayne Prescott to the Transfer Station Committee.
Second,
Any discussion?
Do most of you know him? Because I don't.
yeah.
He's
He's on the planning
board.
Oh, okay.
He's been,
All right.
he's usually been in here many things.
Okay, all right.
Face with the name, that's.
Yeah, I know, that's the issue. Okay.
Any other discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? Thank you. No old business, warrants and bills for payroll.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? All those in favor? Minutes of November 13th meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Pending decisions, public service announcements, driveway permit, open language, board and committee status is ongoing. Week's action list, I think we're all set.
Yeah, we'll have, Foglio and
Yeah,
the Lake Arrowhead Memorandum of Understanding for the fire hydrants has to get signed, and there's a liquor license.
what is the, I guess let's stick that on the agenda anyway for the Lake Arrowhead. I would just like to know what is the plan? Now that the money's available, what is the plan going forward? When will they be installed and that? And I'm not sure who's driving that bus, but maybe between Scott and Nancy we can put together, because that's we're not doing the work, we're just paying for the work, right?
Scott Davis actually is the one that initiated this, because he feels they may be able to get a couple in before winter comes, so.
They were paying for the materials and they're doing the labor.
Well, we're paying E.J. Prescott to install it. I think that was in that quote. Anything else you want to discuss next week?
For agenda items?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to put somewhere on the agenda whether we want to set up a workshop or whatever to come up with some type of emergency contingency plan for local incidents, I guess, that might border on, I don't want to say disaster, but an example is the fire in North Waterboro at the mobile home park. Over the weekend, the individual had lost quite a bit of stuff, and the fire chief had been apparently somehow was contacted or got involved in the mix, to the point where we didn't really have anything in place in terms of assistance. So he took it upon himself to take some of his own clothing that he had at home that would fit this individual, and then out of his own pocket went and bought some toiletries and stuff, toothpaste and a toothbrush, and that type of stuff for this individual who had virtually nothing. And so I went and talked with the general assistance person, and we really don't have a concrete plan. It's, well, if something comes up, we'll call the chair, and the chair will call Nancy. But if those people aren't available, the system breaks down. We still have the end result being that we have a person in the community that, because of a tragedy, needs assistance. So my idea is to get Nancy in here, and the fire chief, and I guess Brenda Roberge, who runs or somehow
Church.
through the church has a clothing, free clothing over there, that may be a valuable resource in this, is to sit down and come up with something. Because I know that surplus in Sanford, the military surplus thing, they have packets of soap and toothpaste and shampoo and the toothbrush and stuff like that we could probably get, and we could make up little kits here so that we'd have something, maybe down on hand at the fire station, so that we could, take care of these things, little things that we somehow, don't really think of at the moment, but, are sorely needed. And, to have something in place so that we're not running around saying, well, geez, where's so-and-so this weekend? Is, they off playing golf, or they, gone somewhere?
It's a bit bigger than, just one incident, because
Yeah.
as you know, Big Ben Chair and names being on the 211 call list in the state and whatnot, you're the one that's gonna get the call, or I'm gonna get the call at, midnight on Saturday night that I'm out of fuel, right? And what's the town gonna do for me? And you know that you can't get a hold of anybody, nor if you did get a hold of them, that there's probably the answer is well, nobody's gonna go them. So I think there's, and Chief Wars and I talked a little bit about this incident, where that's, I think, really fixable if the fire chief and the general assistance person and whatnot get together with those in the community and come up with some little plan of action that does that. But we need to be able to say, how do we get a hold of the right people on a weekend, on a day off in this municipality? Now, I understand that in some instances, when people have created a situation for themselves because of inaction earlier in the week, okay, that it then becomes, an action or a panic, right?
Yeah.
So those are some things, but
That's
we don't-
crisis management.
we don't have, I would agree with you, we don't have a protocol, or we don't have a procedure that says, okay, if I get a call from 211, or, the fire chief gets a call, or somebody gets this, or whatever, what's the protocol of who gets called? And, it's nice to say, well, I don't work Mondays, but if you're gonna be the responsible party, you have to say, I'm not throwing any aspersions on you, but I'm just saying that, we need to make sure that there's a set of procedures that say this is gonna happen. So that once a call comes in, that person is gonna ultimately get contacted by someone that can at least initiate some action within some period of time. Might not be the action that they want in that moment, right? But in this instance where, typically you see Red Cross or somebody else come to the aid of people that are burnt out and whatnot, I think there's some things that we can do locally. So it's a good discussion. And I think we ought to have the discussion initially with, I'm not sure we need to do what you want, but we probably with Matt and Nancy and the people on staff here, we ought to be able to initiate that discussion at a selectmen's meeting and say, hey, this is, go forth and multiply, this is what we want you to do, I don't know, so we gotta get into the minutia of how it's done, right?
Right now, you have a lot of backup systems. There is a hole, and Sunday is the hole usually. It can go into Monday, but you've got, you also have community action that's available, but they're closed on Sunday. So, if you had something where there was, and this could be given by citizens too, as gifts, and so if we collected a little bit of money, and we collected some clothes, we all have some clothes that we say, okay, they're still fairly decent shape, but we're ready to offload. So we get some clothes, and we get some money for food and special services. You put it over in the fire department, and it's there for that hole, for that Sunday. But other than that, you get the Red Cross, and it happened the Red Cross is out of they'd given it all away in the storm, and we were closed on Sunday, and community action was closed on Sunday. Chief has a big heart, and Holman did it himself, and is also is an action-oriented person. But you also have the shelter that has a possibility of.
So we're not, we're not gonna solve it tonight, so let's put it on next week's agenda,
Yeah.
and we'll talk it through then. But I think we should have Matt here.
I'm pretty sure Matt's out of town.
That's right.
That's right.
So just wanna play with me, keep-
So we can push it to the second.
Okay.
What else for next week?
That was all I got.
Do we need to
I
firm
think-
up the 14th? Do we need to have any conversation about that?
Yeah, let's just put it on the agenda, just a quick review of the 14th. Make sure that we're
For the
all
dinner,
set.
John, next week, just kind of firm
Just
it
a
up?
brief discussion next week on the dinner,
On it.
on the employee appreciation dinner.
Oh, yeah,
Just so that we're,
yeah, good, so we can get that, sure.
I'd like to see a follow-up on where we stand with the bills, the tax bills that were outstanding that we put forth with the collection people.
oh, with
yeah.
Jerry?
What the status
Yeah,
of that
Jerry
is.
could give us an
We've heard
update on the
Bristol?
Sharon.
Susan Swiss.
Susan's. Anything else? If not, items needing signature, warrants and bills of payroll, the minutes of the November 13th meeting. Reminders. First of all, I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving on Thursday. There will be no one here at the town office. Closed. Friday, the 23rd, the day after Thanksgiving, the town offices and the transfer station will be closed in honor of the Thanksgiving Day holidays. Saturday morning, there's a cribbage tournament at 8:30 at the town hall. The transfer station will be open on Saturday and Sunday. Garden committee will be meeting next Monday evening at 6 p.m. in the old town hall, as will the transfer station recycling committee at 6:30 Monday in the library board of trustees at the Waterboro Library. Next week we'll be here. Cemetery committee is reporting. Monday night, I'm not sure, the 3rd, whether 2020 master planning committee will meet, but they probably will, because I think Tom will be back in some form. And then back here on Tuesday the 4th, right, the 4th, Finance Committee and Treasurer reporting. Is that the one that you were changing or something? Send a note out on that.
Oh, that was 2020. I
Oh, okay.
changed.
All right. That being said, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor? Good night.